Hey guys, look at this guitar I've got to show you today. This little guy is an Olympia by Tacoma. Let's check it out. Olympia was Tacoma's import brand. A similar relationship as we think of Epiphone to Gibson, or even more accurately, Squier to Fender. And Fender's name comes up a couple of times in the history of Tacoma guitars. I just picked up this guitar recently, and man, it is super dusty and grimy. Before we clean it all up though, let's talk about the history of Tacoma guitars. Tacoma Guitars was situated in a 43,000 square foot factory southeast of Tacoma, Washington, in a neighborhood called Frederickson. The company was founded in 1996 as a division of a company from South Korea called Young Chang. Young Chang is known for making pianos, but they do have some history in guitar building. They were the first Korean company that Fender hired to build Squier Strats. Now the first Squiers were made in Japan by Fujijin in 1982-83, but in the late 80s, Fender started facing stiffer competition in the budget guitar market, so they went after the cheaper labor force in Korea. They contracted with Young Chang to build their Squier Stratocasters. That contract started in 1987, but it didn't last long, and I'll tell you why. Young Chang used cheap electronics, low-end ceramic pickups, and plywood bodies for their Squier Strats, because that's what Fender wanted. They needed to get the cost down as low as they could. But while Young Chang was building Squier Strats for Fender, they were also building their own guitars under the brand name Phoenix. Same specs as the Squiers, but better electronics and solid alder bodies instead of plywood. So Fender got mad, canceled the contract with Young Chang, and started working with Samick next. But anyway, back to Tacoma. In 1991, Young Chang had built a sawmill in Tacoma, Washington to mill our fine Pacific Northwest lumber and ship back to South Korea to build their pianos. The story goes that the sawmill's general manager, a Mr. J.C.Kim, convinced Young Chang to build a guitar factory in Tacoma. This factory did OEM manufacturing at first. They built some models for Washburn, with model names like Cheyenne, Navajo, and Comanche. Then they started building their own guitars. The first guitar with the Tacoma brand name was a collaboration with George Gruhn. It was a short-scale guitar with an offset paisley soundhole called the Papoose. It was cool and unique and somewhat successful, and it led to other original Tacoma designs. The full-size Chief and Road King, and an acoustic bass called the Thunder Chief. And other more traditional designs as well. Somewhere along the line, the budget series name Olympia was started. Initially made in Indonesia, later models were built in China. Here's a good look at the soundhole label. You can see my new guitar was made in China. It's a model OD-2, serial number 11505-327. I found a 2005 Olympia catalog, but it doesn't feature my guitar, the OD-2. But I found a dealer price list too, also from 2005. It does list the OD-2. It's described as a 3/4 size standard tuned dreadnought with a spruce top, Catalpa back and sides, with an original retail price of $200 US. But now, back to the Tacoma story. In 1999, Young Chang started facing some financial troubles and decided to lighten the load and sell off Tacoma guitars. They wound up selling it to Mr. Kim. That sounds like a dream come true for the general manager who influenced the guitar company to be built in the first place to now become the owner. Tacoma was a mid-sized company who was competing with the big dogs, selling almost as many units nationally as Martin, Taylor, Gibson, and Fender. But they could not shake financial woes, and in 2004, Tacoma Guitars was sold again, this time to Fender. Fender also owned Guild at the time, and they moved production of Guild acoustics to Tacoma. Then, in 2008, Fender bought Come On Music. That deal gave them a big new factory in Hartford, Connecticut. Now, all this time, Tacoma Guitars and then Fender had been paying rent on the factory space in Frederickson, southeast of Tacoma. Now, all of a sudden, they outright owned a factory that's 23,000 square feet bigger than the Frederickson facility. So in 2008, Fender decided to close the Tacoma factory. They tried to be cool about it. They gave the employees severance packages. They promised to start up building Tacoma-branded guitars again, only in Connecticut this time instead of Washington. But it never happened. Tacoma was just swept under the rug, I guess, forgotten about. Now, I don't think they set out to do it, but essentially, Fender killed Tacoma. Has owned one of these Olympia guitars or a Tacoma guitar, or if there's any lifelong Tacomans who might have worked at the old guitar factory, please drop a comment down below, man. I'd love to talk to you. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.